overnight, Nintendo shocked the world. Although I don't find this news shocking at all. All right. I think it's just inevitable that it was going to come out. But, of course, people freak out and act like it's a big deal. So, this is an actual Twitter post from the Nintendo Company Limited official account. Ready? This is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. So, number one, appreciate the president of Nintendo getting ahead of this. Why? Because so many times these guys say nothing, right? And they try to keep it under wraps. And what ends up happening is ridiculous, rampant speculation, baseless assumptions, people saying absolutely ridiculous things like, oh, there's a Nintendo Direct coming up, and so you know they're going to talk about the Switch too, right? Which is ridiculous, that because no one ever has any information about that, but they always just make it up to try to have clickbait news and stuff. I almost feel like this is the president of Nintendo, Furukawa, literally saying, I don't want drama around this nonsense. I'm going to just announce this ahead of time so that way no one can make stuff up, which is a good approach in my opinion. Transparency is appreciated. So the two things you learn here, number one, they're making a new Switch. We already knew that. Right now, is it going to be called the Switch? Probably not. But we already knew they're going to make a new console. I mean, the real announcement would have been, oh, we've decided to get out of the console business. We're like, what? Nintendo was like, done? No. We knew they were going to make another console, right? I mean, Switch is one of their most profitable consoles of all time. Why in the holy heck would they not make another one, right? The real news here is that they're going to talk about it in the next fiscal year. So that means, you know, within the end of this year, we're going to know about this new console. Now, we're not going to probably be able to buy it, but at least we're going to have information of it. And I would guess, if that's the case, it probably means, that they're probably going to sell it next year or next fiscal year. Okay? Now, the other thing that I appreciate is that he literally says, even though there's a Nintendo Direct coming up in June, there's no new console information in it. Good. Good for saying that, because too many idiots on the internet just make shit up about it and keep saying, oh, we're going to get all this information about it and we're going to, here's our speculation, here's our hype. It's like, shut the fuck up. You don't work for Nintendo. You don't know anything. You just make shit up for people to click on your garbage content, you know, and it's stupid because people believe it. They actually build up hype and stuff around stuff that's just nonsensical. So anyway, I hope that when they do announce it, it's going to be something better to what gamers would really want. But if we look at Nintendo's track record, the answer is probably no, it will not be. Nintendo is infamous for completely disregarding fan feedback when it comes to designing consoles, right? What do the fans want? We want more powerful hardware on the inside so that we can actually have our games look as good as the competitors, right? Imagine a Mario game or a Zelda game that's running in full 1080p 60 frames with insane amounts of detail, or hell, even 4K, right? My God, it would blow your socks off. Instead, we got some of the worst looking games and worst performing games. I mean, are you kidding me? Tears of the Kingdom was a great game that looked awful. It's just sad that they don't care about being competitive. Instead, they always have to have a gimmick, right? We're going to waggle around with motion controls. We're going to have a stupid screen controller no one ever asked for or wanted. We're going to have a console that's not really a home console. It's a hybrid, portable console, home hybrid, but now it's weak because of that. Like, how about you just make a fucking console that's good? You ever think about that? Like, back in the day with, like, Super Nintendo, like, what was the thing that Nintendo innovated? Better technology in the carts, so it looked better than anything else of their competition, and an innovative controller that allowed better games to be developed, right? Can you tell me one game developed for Switch that's better because it was developed for Switch? Can anyone, literally, can you put your hand up and say, oh yeah, well this game is Switch exclusive and it's really good because it was on Switch? No. Nintendo has lost their way when it comes to what they're good at. Innovation is great, but gimmicks are not. They need to innovate to make better gameplay experiences, not just say, oh, we don't do what everyone else does. So here's an underpowered console that has a finicky, wonky thing that we can claim as a gimmick. That's cool. When you know, in reality, I think what people would rather happen is have better games, right? And I hate to say it, right now, my Switch is gathering dust and has been for quite some time. Last few years, right? Maybe we turn that sucker on 2 times, 3 times a year tops. While the other consoles are constantly being used, right? It's sad. Like, there's nothing to play on that dang thing. Yet they say, oh, it's the best-selling console. I don't care. Like, I literally don't care. If it's the best-selling console, if there's no good games to play on it, it doesn't matter. You know? Just because people who aren't mainstream gamers and aren't people who play games all the time casually bought your console in droves just like they did the Wii, doesn't mean that the console has done anything for the games industry. So, yeah, I am sad at Nintendo's track record, and I would hope that with the new console, they will turn things around. Do I have any kind of confidence? No. However, I will say this. We may finally get new titles we've been waiting for. How about an actual new Mario Kart game for the first time in like a decade? That would be nice. How about a new Mario? We didn't have a new Mario since the launch of the Switch in 2017. That's a 3D Mario. And Odyssey was amazing. You know, I would like to have better first-party games at this point than we're really getting. 1 or 2 a year is not enough. And now we're at the point where there's like nothing. Like what exactly is coming out? Well, we're going to find out in June. That's what he's saying here. This Direct in June essentially is going to explain the final life cycle games of the Switch. You know, the Switch wasn't a bad console in my opinion, but man, to me, it just didn't feel like important or special. For a lot of people, I guess it was. For them, it was their generation's Wii. But for me, it was just like, eh. So some games were beautiful on it, you know? And that's the sad part. Is like I said, Mario Odyssey ran superbly good on it. So it doesn't explain why games like Breath of the Wild or the recent Pokemon Scarlet and Violet run absolutely horribly on it. It just doesn't even seem to make much sense. I don't know. So I hope whatever they come out with will be a better piece of hardware that people can develop for and actually have games run better. But we know Nintendo, right? At this point, you would be kind of fooling yourself to think that what next console they put out will actually be powerful. Okay?